tonight.
We are ready for a President Kamala Harris.
Democratic Party leaders pitch a Kamala Harris presidency.
Coach Walls and me.
The latest from Chicago as Harris's VP pick prepares to headline the night. And the spiritual collapse of a so-called Christian nation. A special look at the growing limitations of evangelicalism in America. Plus, the latest as the IDF works to weed out terrorists in Gaza. All this and more tonight on Faith Nation. Governor Tim Walz will officially accept the Democratic nomination for vice president tonight on the DNC stage. Good evening and welcome to Faith Nation. From the CBN headquarters in Virginia Beach, I'm Brody Carter. It's day 3 of the Democratic National Convention, where Democrats hope to make their case for what's at stake this November election: your freedom. Last night, the Obamas endorsed Harris while making several jabs at Donald Trump. Washington correspondent Caitlin Burke has these details.
As prominent Democrats urged America to back Kamala Harris Tuesday night, the nominee herself was 90 miles away campaigning in the battleground state of Wisconsin.
We are so honored to be your nominees. This is a people-powered campaign, and together we will chart a new way forward.
As Harris stumped for votes, second gentleman Doug Emhoff paid tribute to his wife on the DNC's primetime stage.
Wherever she's needed, however she's needed, Kamala rises to the occasion. And she did it for me and our family. And now that the country needs her, she's showing you what we already know. She's ready to lead.
In back-to-back speeches, Michelle and Barack Obama delivering a strong endorsement of Harris and a cutting indictment against Donald Trump.
We do not need 4 more years of bluster and bumbling and chaos. We have seen that movie before, and we all know that the sequel is usually worse.
The same old con, doubling down on ugly, misogynistic, racist lies as a substitute for real ideas and solutions that will actually make people's lives better.
This was a tag team approach with Michelle Obama and Barack Obama going after Donald Trump, and they went after him strong. And I think that was an extremely effective approach at the convention. I think the key question now going forward is how much are Michelle and Barack Obama going to be on the campaign trail?
Meanwhile, on the Chicago streets, police arresting dozens of protesters after pro-Palestinian demonstrations turned violent outside the Israeli consulate.
Ain't no power like the power of the people, got the power of the people on trial.
Earlier in the day, protesters also showing up at an event organized by an Orthodox Jewish group. Organizers of Jewish events at the DNC have reportedly avoided publishing the locations of their events to try and avoid these kinds of disruptions. Meanwhile, another group speaking out this week, Democrats for Life. They issued a statement after Planned Parenthood announced it's offering free abortions to DNC attendees. The statement reads, quote, "We continue to urge our fellow Democrats to stop doing business with Planned Parenthood and other pro-abortion groups and return to the party's true roots of standing up and fight for the vulnerable and for the little guy." Former President Donald Trump spent Tuesday campaigning in Michigan, the event focusing on law and order and making America safe again. Caitlin Burke, CBN News, Washington.
Joining us now is Dr. Mark Clausen, professor of history and law at Cedarville University. Mark, when you look at the enthusiasm at the DNC, you've got past presidents, A-list celebrities, DJs introducing delegates. Should Republicans be concerned about this excitement?
Well, I think in any nominating convention, you're going to find this kind of enthusiasm for the most part. You're going to find a great love fest like we had last night. You're going to find enthusiasm. You're going to find even a bump in the polls potentially. But typically it doesn't last. Voters eventually settle back down. They realize this is just a nominating convention. Everybody's unified externally, even though they're at odds with each other internally, potentially. So that's kind of what I see in this.
Okay.
Now, maybe that's looking behind the scenes a little too much, but it's typical for what happens here.
Well, tonight we're going to be hearing from Kamala Harris's vice presidential pick, Tim Walz. For some in America, this will be their first introduction of him. What message are you expecting to hear come from that individual?
Well, if I'm reading everybody else the right way, then it's going to be more criticism of Donald Trump, harsh criticism, I might add, uh, and very little in the way of substance. I think Waltz and Harris are both not speaking to the issues at this point. I think that's deliberate. I'm pretty sure it is, but eventually they're going to have to. But that's what I expect to hear is the enthusiasm of going forward, the joy that he mentioned earlier a couple of weeks ago. That's what I expect to hear from him.
Well, Doctor, yesterday, Donald Trump, he tackled crime and public safety in Michigan while a wave of unruly protesters formed outside of the DNC convention walls. So do you see a scenario where either party in power could effectively ease these growing hostilities among Americans?
Probably not. We've had a growing outbreak of this kind of thing for the last probably 20 years. It started small out in Oregon and Washington, and it's been growing. We have a very diverse population, growing more diverse. And unfortunately, we're going to see more of that kind of protest. Now, it would be nice to say it's like the 60s. Compared to the 60s, the radical ideas are much worse than they were in the 60s. So it's different in that respect, but I don't think it's going to decline any.
Dr. Mark Clausen, thank you so much for your insight and expertise. We appreciate your analysis.
Thank you.
Well, some new research is sounding the alarm on the fading power of evangelical Christianity in America. A recent study from Arizona Christian University reveals that only 10% of American adults identify as evangelical, a figure significantly lower than previous estimates. It also shows those who do identify as Christian often embracing a watered-down version of their faith. A growing trend is leading many evangelicals to abandon traditional beliefs in favor of a blended religious worldview. So joining us to break it all down is Dr. George Barna with the Cultural Research Center at Arizona Christian University. He is also the founder of research company Barna Group. Dr. Barna, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, some pretty telling research. What's driving this decline of evangelicalism?
Well, the culture. I mean, if you look at what's happening to people who consider themselves to be Christian around the country, the culture is affecting them more than their faith is affecting them. When we look at the impact of their churches, it tends to be rather minimal. Part of that is due to the fact that their churches don't really try to encourage people who want to be disciples of Jesus, who want to follow biblical principles, to go out and influence the culture. So the culture has taken that vacuum and filled it.
Well, before I stray from this study, in particular, what are some things that stood out to you the most, that are most telling, that our viewers should know about?
Well, there are a lot fewer evangelicals theologically defined rather than the self-identified than is typically reported. That's significant. Secondly, those theologically defined evangelicals are no more likely than anybody else in the nation to pay attention to news and activity related to politics and government. They're no more likely to vote than other people are. They're actually less likely to engage people who believe different than them politically in any kind of conversation. They're conservative on most issues, but they don't really get activated politically. So this is kind of a change from what we've heard about and expected of evangelicals. Of course, liberal media try to stir people up, try to stir up fear about conservatives. But if you take an objective look at the data, those individuals, while they may be conservative and they may lean Christian, they're not really applying their faith to what's going on in the world as often as we would have hoped.
Dr. Barna, what does the future hold for evangelical Christianity?
Well, I think there's a tremendous opportunity for growth, but what we're seeing right now is that because the culture is affecting evangelicals more than evangelicals are affecting the culture, there's got to be a change in terms of how we're developing people's faith. We've got to start a lot younger, working with children, literally, because that's when a person's worldview develops. What we know right now is that 2/3 of theologically defined evangelicals do not possess a biblical worldview.
Yeah.
And so unless that changes, the trend is for fewer and fewer evangelicals to embrace biblical Christianity in fullness. That's a great challenge, but it's also a great opportunity.
Well, Christians are the largest voting demographic in America, but a third of them don't actively participate in elections. So how will this shape the political landscape?
Well, it gives people with unbiblical ideas an increasing opportunity to shape the laws and the policies of this nation. So Christians may talk about how they believe life, for instance, is critical and that they're pro-life. But unless they're going to act on behalf of that kind of a stance, we're going to see increasingly that becomes the minority perspective.
Dr. George Barna, also always an honor to speak with you. Thank you for joining us on Faith Nation.
Thank you.
Well, the impact of inflation on America's bank accounts is extending to churches. New data shows giving didn't keep pace, that is, over the past year. And on top of that, church attendance is down. As CBN's Jenna Browder reports, potential solutions offer hope that churches can turn this trend around.
From the grocery checkout line to the gas pump and now the church pew, Americans are closely watching what they spend, and it's putting some churches in a bind.
Churches are, in some instances, are struggling, right? That they're not keeping up with inflation. Donations are down. Some instances, attendance is down.
Robert Blair with Ministry Brands works specifically on helping churches grow donations. The group's latest study shows 2023 giving failed to keep up with inflation, with 55% of churches seeing a decrease in giving. This hit smaller churches the hardest, with only 36% reporting an increase. On top of that, cash and check donations dropped for a third of all churches surveyed or in the study. But there are some things churches can do. Blair says it starts with church leaders communicating well.
One of the most important things is the conversation that the pastor or the leaders of the church have with the congregation. Talking about giving, why it's important, and candidly, what's it for? What's the money going to?
He says being transparent with congregants about where their money is going can lead them to give greater amounts and more often. Another plus can come from offering a variety of ways to give, like going digital.
I have a 21-year-old son. He's never going to write a check, ever, right? My mom only writes checks. So as leaders in the church and as leaders of trying to grow healthy churches, we need to be able to accommodate all congregants.
I can tell you that digital giving has been a catalyst to our ability to increase our giving across the board.
We're reading from the New American Standard Bible today.
Pastor Solomon Adair leads Inspired to Live Church in Arlington, Texas.
Giving for us throughout these COVID years and these inflation years has actually gone up for us. We've grown, but that's due to our heavy evangelism focus. We're always inviting somebody to church, sharing the gospel. It's a part of the culture.
That plays into their goal of asking more people to help do a lot by everybody doing a little. The church is now in the process of buying and renovating its own building.
We see him as a leader in the way he works with his congregation and talking about donations and talking about digital.
Blair points to Pastor Adair's approach as a model to follow. Communicate well, offer many ways to give, and be bold.
The Bible says we have not because we ask not. And one way to ask is to make it easier for the ask.
Jenna Browder, CBN News.
Well, coming up, fighting escalates between Israel and Hezbollah. The latest on the war in the Middle East when Faith Nation returns.
Most historians agree the Jews were here first, but the Arabs will argue that they were here the longest.
Gordon Robertson investigates the Jewish and Arab conflict over who owns the land of Israel in the exclusive CBN special, Whose Land Is It?
You just scratch the surface and you find a rich Jewish culture and history.
Get Whose Land Is It? You'll discover the truth behind the dispute that threatens to ignite the Middle East today.
Who are the Palestinians and what are their claims to the land of Israel?
Call now or go to cbn.com/whoseland to get your copy of the exclusive CBN special, Whose Land Is It? For a gift of any dollar amount. Find out the truth behind the headlines.
Palestine means invaded land. Why should we call it that?
Get Whose Land Is It? Yours on DVD for a gift of any dollar amount. Call now or go to cbn.com/whoseland. Available now.
Heavenly Father, we do thank you for the work of your Spirit, Lord God, with this movement of getting the Bible, yes, Lord, into public schools.
Watch The Prayer Link this morning at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel. Introducing a brand new way to start your morning. Get your daily quick start from CBN News. A quick read on the important news of the day delivered right to your inbox. Stay current on breaking news, politics, and entertainment. Discover how God is moving around the world and here at home. Plus, get exclusive stories and daily scripture encouragement just for you. Stay informed. Go to quickstart.news and subscribe today.
Welcome back. Tensions in the Middle East are mounting, especially in northern Israel. An exchange of strikes over the border with Lebanon has left at least one person dead. CBN's Michelle London is here now with the latest on these attacks and where talks to end this war stand. Michelle.
Brody, good evening to you. Those overnight airstrikes along the Syrian border also injured 30 others, including children. That's according to Lebanon's health ministry. Meanwhile, in Gaza Strip, loved ones gathered today to lay some of the 6 Israeli hostages to rest. Video of one of those funerals released today shows relatives and friends placing flowers at the gravesite. The bodies of these 6 hostages were recently recovered from a Gaza tunnel. Footage released by the IDF shows soldiers entering that tunnel where they made the discovery. It also highlights the latest round of attacks overnight, showing the remnants of Gaza with heaps of rubble and rounds of shots fired. Prime Minister Netanyahu visited an Air Force base in northern Israel today, saying the country is prepared for any scenario.
The Air Force is our iron fist that knows how to hit the soft underbelly of our enemies. The ground crew, pilots, and commanders here are doing a heroic job. They prove it time and time again, and if we have to, we will prove it again and again.
And also tonight, Secretary of State Antony Blinken wrapped up his whirlwind trip in the Middle East after more high-level talks to end this war. The U.S. says Israel has agreed to what's being called a bridging proposal for a ceasefire. Blinken says the ball is now in Hamas's court. Brody?
Michelle London in Washington, D.C., thank you very much for that report. Well, while the world focuses on the crisis in the Middle East, Ukrainian forces are on the offensive. Ukraine launched a major drone attack on Moscow overnight, the largest assault on the capital since the war began. Meanwhile, Ukraine continues its surprise push into Russia's Kursk region. As the war has gone on for 2.5 years, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky told the BBC he wants to bring the hot stage of combat to an end come this year, and thinks it can be done through diplomatic pressure. Well, plenty more here on Faith Nation. Up next, how to invest in your physical and spiritual health. Right after this.
Strengthen your health with Boost Your Immunity from CBN. In this free DVD, medical experts share cutting-edge research that can help you beat disease and build a healthier you. Learn the foundations of a strong immune system and practical strategies to protect yours. Discover how ancient remedies meet modern science in defeating disease and enhancing self-care. Call or visit us online to get your free DVD today.
Introducing the CBN Bible from cbn.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.
I am Regent's first ROTC graduate student.
Introducing a brand new way to start your morning, the CBN News Quick Start Podcast. Each weekday morning at 7 a.m., get quick highlights of the day's important news. Then an in-depth analysis that goes beyond the headlines. Insights that matter to people of faith. Discover how God is moving around the world and here at home. Find the CBN News Quick Start Podcast on iTunes or wherever you enjoy listening to podcasts, because truth matters.
Popular weight loss drugs could be a game changer for people at risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Excess weight increases the risk of diabetes, but a new study finds people who take medications for obesity can reduce their chance of developing the disease by 94%. Drug maker Eli Lilly says the 3-year study shows the popular weight loss prescriptions Zepbound and Mounjaro can nearly eliminate the progression for people most at risk. It also found those taking the highest dose lost, on average, 23% of their body weight. Well, the FDA says those drugs are still in short supply, but makers say they have ramped up production to meet with demand. Well, the Bible calls our bodies a temple, but far too many Christians struggle with poor health. CBN News medical reporter Lori Johnson introduces us to a man who's helping Christians make faith and fitness a priority.
Losing 60 extra pounds made Amanda Kelly feel great again in her own body.
I thought I was never going to get back down to size.
The transformation, a result of her commitment to follow Jesus.
You are building your body up for Christ so that you continue his works and following in his path that he has made for us.
Strong Christian woman.
She's grateful to her trainer who made sure she did it for the right reasons.
I wanted to make the case very clear for the connection between following Christ and living a healthy life.
Matt Gay wrote the book Fit Church to help Christians develop physical fitness in their relationship with God.
Like, your body belongs to God.
He teaches people to put the knowledge into practice through personal and online training.
We're talking about biblical nutrition and meaningful movement and lifestyle change and goal setting and how you can do these things under the umbrella of Christ and his word.
Sometimes Matt partners with churches to help congregations teach their people about the biblical basis for developing a healthy lifestyle. Too often, churches overlook the topics of health and fitness when a lot of people sitting in the pews really struggle with these issues. As a result, they tend to go outside the Christian community for help, which can be problematic.
So when someone goes to a secular trainer or they're looking on some fitness magazine or on Instagram, a lot of times those motivations can be completely vain. It's wrapped up in how you look, or maintaining some sort of body image, and a lot of people's identities can get wrapped up in that.
That's why Pastor Stephen Roby offers his congregation Matt's Christ-centered health workshops and fitness classes, something he believes most churches need.
They reflect America, and 6 out of 10 people in America have chronic health issues as they age, and a lot of that's self-inflicted. The diet, the processed food that we eat, the lack of movement with sedentary lifestyles that we live.
In fact, church culture can unintentionally make it very difficult for people struggling with a sugar addiction.
Because of all the food that we bring to our potluck gatherings, to our small group gatherings where everybody's making their best desserts, they're making all of the special dishes, which usually are really high-calorie foods.
Pastor Roby believes an important key is Matt's focus on changing to serve God's kingdom and enabling Christians to perform physically demanding activities like mission trips, building homes for the poor, and working at shelters.
We want to help people be strong, not for any vain reasons, but so they can serve the Lord with all their strength.
For some, food becomes an idol that robs people of their motivation and ability to serve God to their fullest.
Even though gluttony is, a lack of self-control, sinful, Proverbs 23 tells us not to be among the drunkards and the gluttons. It's kind of one of those acceptable sins in the church, and I think that's a shame.
Matt says resisting temptation begins with discovering the why.
We're going to place Christ at the center of this, and we're going to look to him for the help that we need in overcoming some of the deep-rooted issues that you're facing that are causing you to live unhealthy in an unhealthy manner. We're going to take that to him.
Followed by learning to trust that God can heal our anxiety better than any bad habit.
The Bible is not oblivious to the emotions that we feel. God gives us instruction for how to navigate our emotions in a godly way.
So while it may not be easy to adopt a healthier lifestyle, some Christians say with God it's not only possible, but necessary. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Well, coming up, a stray dog finds his forever home. That's next on Faith Nation.
This kind of lifestyle was leading to nothing but destruction. I just wanted to give a big middle finger to life and blow up everything. The light is so light when you know how dark the dark is. And I am grateful every single day for the life that I have. And I know every single day that the life that I have is because of Jesus. And if God can do that for me, then he can do that for anyone.
Life, it's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it, I came to give you life, life to the fullest. Life in your family, life in your finances, life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At cbn.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life, live it fully. cbn.com.
It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh, no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
Why CBN News? We bring you credible journalism from award-winning reporters, breaking news from around the world, stories you won't find anywhere else. Now more than ever, get the news you can trust, because truth matters. Find the CBN News Channel in your area. Go to watchcbnnews.com today.
Finally tonight, a full circle moment for an abandoned dog who chased his dreams right into a new home. About a month ago, the owners of Keller Creek Boarding and Grooming in Georgia spotted this yellow lab chasing after their pup bus. At the time, they couldn't let the stray onto their bus, but they posted a video of him on social media. The video caught the attention of a woman who went in search of that stray and decided to take him home. Now the pup, named Waylon, and his sister have both been adopted, and they both get to ride the pup bus together to doggy daycare whenever they want. Cute story. That's going to do it for us tonight on Faith Nation. We'll see you tomorrow.